Hi, it's Edward, back with another video. Please take a moment to click the thumbs up button below and consider subscribing to the channel. Thank you for your support. Today I read an interesting article on CNBC.com written by Diana Olick, titled, "Nearly 1/3 of major U.S. housing markets now see falling home prices." My friends, this immediately caught my attention. So much hinges on the health of the U.S. housing market. This is not good news. There are so many Americans who depend on their home values continuing to go up. A lot of people treat their homes like an ATM machine. If their children in college need money, no problem. They tap their home equity. When they need to buy a new vehicle, they tap their home equity. If they want to remodel the kitchen, well, as many of you know, that's not cheap. You could spend $50,000, $100,000. I know of someone who recently spent $400,000 renovating a kitchen. No problem. Tap your home equity to pay for it. A lot of people don't have that kind of money just laying around. There are individuals right now who are going to be in for a rude awakening. They are really going to be pinched financially when their home value drops. This is also going to impact people who purchased a property near the peak of the market during the real estate madness. Some people thought values would continue to go up. Well, surprise. Now values are dropping in some markets here in America. If someone loses his or her job and needs to relocate to another part of the country because remote work is really being demonized these days, well, you may have to bring money to closing to get rid of your house. Buyers may not be willing to pay the same amount that you paid for that property. I'm afraid some Americans are not ready for that. I lived through the GFC. I personally attended real estate closings at title companies, and I saw sellers have to bring money to closing to be able to get rid of their properties. I purchased some of those properties. I was glad to do it. I had a plan. I was going to do a light renovation to those properties. I was then going to secure new tenants who were willing to pay more rent, and I was prepared to reap the benefits of a lot of cash flow. It was sad to interact with sellers who were desperate. They just couldn't afford to make the mortgage payments anymore. A lot of people saw their businesses slow during and after the GFC, and they had no choice but to let their properties go for a song. Let's hope we don't live through a similar period in the future. Those were some difficult times financially for a lot of everyday Americans. People with cash back then could scoop up some amazing bargains. I am afraid there are some everyday Americans who thought they were going to get rich quick, buying a property and flipping it for a large sum of money. Some people saw their neighbors, their friends, their family members, their coworkers buy a property, literally do nothing to it, and then flip it 2 years later for a significant profit. And they thought, hey, if they can do it, so can I. Well, surprise, the market has changed. And now you are stuck with a property. For how long? It's anyone's guess. I am afraid some Americans are going to face some difficult financial decisions. Not everyone can rent their property if they can no longer afford to make the mortgage payments. There are condo communities that don't allow rentals. There are subdivisions with HOAs that don't allow rentals. Doesn't matter if we're talking about long-term rentals or short-term rentals through one of these different app services. Some people have a property right now they can't afford. They can't continue to make the payments. even working multiple jobs. There are Americans right now in this gig economy working multiple jobs. They're barely getting enough sleep. They don't have a weekend. They're working the entire weekend, and yet they still can't afford their mortgage payments. But they can't get out from underneath that property because the market has changed. Well, what's going to happen in the future? During the GFC and after the GFC, there were a lot of short sales and there were a lot of foreclosures. Could that happen again at some point in the future? I certainly believe it could. I don't wish that on anyone. There were a lot of families destroyed because of what happened with the real estate market during and after the GFC. There were couples who got divorced. Some had to file bankruptcy. There were children who had to move from their childhood home into a smaller home. Some had to move into an apartment. There were some young people who had to attend a new school. They had to leave all of their friends at their former school because those families were torn apart. It was truly sad. I remember touring a foreclosed home, walking through the bedrooms upstairs. I walked in to a room that had previously been occupied by a child. And on the wall, there was that chalkboard paint. And that child had wrote a note. That child said, "Goodbye, home. We will miss you." It was so sad to read that. You know, these are people that we're talking about. There are so many folks right now who are struggling financially, but they're very stoic. You really would never think that a particular family is having financial difficulties because they are so good at putting up a front. But behind closed doors, they are likely struggling financially. Not only that, but they may be having relationship problems because of the financial struggles. A lot of marriages fail due to financial struggles. I really hope that we don't see a repeat of the GFC. We don't want another housing crisis on our hands. It would impact so many everyday Americans. I hate to even think about it. I'm curious if any of you know people, friends, family members, coworkers, who have told you they're having a hard time selling their home. Maybe they have disclosed to you that they can no longer afford their home. Their hours have been reduced at work. Or if they're a business owner, their business has slowed. I know people like that. I know small business owners. Many have seen their businesses slow tremendously. I was just speaking with someone last week who told me his business has slowed dramatically and he had to borrow money from someone to stay afloat. 2 years ago, he was making money hand over fist. Not anymore. Our economy is changing. You wouldn't think so when you watch the news. You're led to believe everything is great. But there are everyday Americans right now who are having a hard time. If you know about them, tell me about it in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing to the channel. I want to extend a special thanks to everyone who has subscribed to this channel. I want to also thank all of my channel members. If you would like to become a channel member, there is a link in the description beneath this video. You can read more about the different membership levels. Please also check out some of the great books I suggest you consider reading in the description below. I've included Amazon affiliate links to these books. As an Amazon associate, I earn from qualifying purchases. Stay healthy and wealthy. I'll see everyone in the next video.